Welcome to the Not Superheroes Against Dads podcast. No, we can't fly. No, we can't shoot lasers or pick up giant buildings. But what we can do is help set the foundations for our families, be present for our kids, and combat generational cycles. On this podcast, we dive into everything dad related, from the struggles we deal with as fathers to what our favorite thing to barbecue is. Hello, I'm Sean Laurie. I hope you guys are doing great today. Remember, guys, like always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. I appreciate the support. It means so much to me. With that being said, guys, let's get into it. Let me introduce this amazing guest that I have today. Honestly, if it comes to anything, when it comes to breaking down film, football, because I know especially people in Texas that I know y'all love y'all football, right? When it comes to football, breaking down film, whatever the case is, this guy is probably the guy you should go to for sure. My boy Jordan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Thanks for the introduction. Football breaking down is pretty much talking balls how we met, and along the way, sharing little. We know each other as fathers, but we never actually sat down and had a conversation within this type of a platform and this type of topic. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. No, and I appreciate your time, man. And so what I like to do, I do a icebreaker. So this should be a simple one since I did introduce you with the football. How did you uh grow up or end up being a Raiders fan of all things?
My dad, 100% my dad. My dad is he lived both in the Bay Area and in LA, and as you know, the Raiders around. They were in they were in Oakland when he was like first became a fan of them, and then
Okay.
as they started to move down to LA, he had already been down there, and then I think back up a few times all through California, but stayed a
Mhm.
Raider fan, stayed really loyal to that team his whole life, and he actually proposed to my mom upon when they won the Super Bowl, the most recent Super Bowl win. He was on a table dancing to "Celebrate
That's
Good
funny.
Times" and dropped to a knee on the coffee table that is still in his house, in his basement, where I go every Sunday. And he and I just we watch I mean, you know me, I watch football, but me and
Yeah.
him just we watch ball. That's our thing on Sundays to do. So, and it was like there was just a Raiders shrine that he always had downstairs. And the Raiders, say what you want about how they've been ran since we have been growing up, but their mystique,
Yeah.
their history, the look, the logo, the colors, the attitude of the players back then around his era when he was growing up, that was really cool to me as a kid. And that really gravitated me towards football. I naturally had a love for sports just from the time I was a little tiny kid. My mom talks about taking me to the store when I was tiny and I was like sitting in a little thing, and we rode by a section where there was like toys and stuff. And she's like, look at all the toys. I saw a ball and was ball, 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 ball. And I didn't want anything else but the ball. And that's just kind of
Mm.
how I've always been. And with him being such a passionate Raider fan, and even being a sports radio talk show host when I was younger himself, just like I've been told I'm my father's son, followed in his footsteps, and it's stuck, and that's just always been a huge part of my life.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
Hmm.
And from what you told me, the love for the Raiders did not go to your sons. It sounds
Uh,
like.
it did not. I have three sons. Jamari is my oldest, 14. Got the music side of me, as we were talking before we started recording. Little musician himself. He's starting a band with his friends. But yeah, no football, no interest in football. Tried it with the 12-year-old. He's the artistic one. He doesn't. Football's not happening
I
with him. We
understand.
go to the basketball game. He wants the treats, and then he wants to go. That's all. When are we getting popcorn? When are we getting ice cream? That's gone. When are we going home? That's pretty much him. Though I can take them both to baseball games, like go
Okay.
check the Mariners out in Seattle. They both enjoy that.
Okay.
Uh, they have fun there. Maybe just a little chill atmosphere. But yeah, bro, football. And then my 2-year-old, we'll see. There's hope for him. And then I got another one on the way. So maybe I can at least get a pair of receivers out of
A
four of
pair.
them,
Yeah, yeah,
just a pair.
yeah.
I'm not
You
gonna
know,
get my tight end or
break
my
even.
slot receiver. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get two artists and two receivers.
There we go. There we go. That'll work.
Um, Now with that being said, man, it's been the works trying to set this up right to to be able to actually get
Hmm.
you on because I know you're a busy man. And so, what for you like? What is probably the hardest part about just making time for yourself? You know, being a dad, being a husband, right, and being, I'm sure, so many different things to so many people. Like, what is probably the hardest part for making time for yourself, bro?
The hardest part of it is, man, it's you have sometimes you how is it? How would I put it? You have to plan things out like in advance, and maybe just taking time to sit down and plan things out in advance that I'm going to do to be able to make sure that I do it. And even sometimes when I do that, it still won't work. It still won't happen. There's just not enough time in the day, that type of thing. It's planning and like, okay, I want to do this. 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 Another really hard part is you put all those bullet points down, all those things you want to do. And then in the
Mm,
midst of that, there's something that you left out because I was maybe so focused on getting A, B, C, D done, but then I might have neglected other things that were important to do too. There's only so much time in the day. And my wife is really good at like reeling me in and making sure I don't put too much on my plate because I want to go do all the things I always do. And so I would just say like fitting it in and planning it out, and then even still sometimes not getting to the things on the schedule, and then also deciding which ones are important that have to get done, and then which ones you might take out necessarily just for that temporary moment, but that you could still insert later on into your day. Like yesterday, we had a really packed day, and we were going to go to the bowling alley to meet up with her cousins and their kids. It was like 15 of us. It was really fun. And then after that, I met up with my friend to have dinner and discuss our next venture for our podcast. And then in the morning, there was my niece was over, and so we were watching her for a while. I had to go grocery shopping. I also had to get the 12-year-old out of the house. He likes to get out the house and do stuff like me. So it was like, okay, how am I going to work out in between all this? Well, the workout had to go on the back burner for that day, but I'm gonna go work out today as soon as we get off of this. It's just stuff like that. It didn't happen. That doesn't mean that then I'm not gonna. Oh, I didn't get a workout yesterday, so I can't fit it in today. Or oh, I didn't get to do this day. That doesn't mean necessarily that you don't ever get to do it or that you can't do it. It just maybe means right now you don't get to do it. And I kind of think that's like how we got to planning this podcast, bro. It's like to do this one
yeah.
with you. Is this day gonna work? Is this day gonna work? Is this day gonna? It doesn't mean it's not gonna work. Just we had to put it to a certain point to be able to get it. So yeah, I know that's a long-winded answer, but
No.
just fitting everything in. It doesn't necessarily have to be all or nothing. And I think sometimes parents can take that approach, the all or nothing approach, and fitting those things in
True.
that and finding time and making time is still very important to do, even though it is hard.
Now, have you ever, I guess, ever felt guilty for maybe even taking time for yourself at times, right? And if so, like, how do you overcome that? Because, like you said, like it's one of those things where there's so many different things you need to do. Um, and it's like depend, especially with kids, right? Kids
Hmm.
don't, a lot of times they don't care about the time, right? Like,
Hmm.
they're like, hey, this is what we need, this is what's happening, whatever the case is. So, like, is there ever a time that you ever kind of felt guilty in the sense of, dang, I kind of I did this for myself when, someone needed me over here? Or is it one of those things for you, like, no, you're pretty good as, hey, you know what? It doesn't really matter what's going on. I'm gonna take this time aside to do whatever it is I need to do for me.
There are some of those things like where an example I can give where there was some guilt recently from like the father angle of it.
Mm.
I was I have my ex-wife and I we share custody with the two kids that we have. Very like she's very great relationship, with her as far as parenting, split relationships, that sort of thing. So I was gonna go. It was the time to go take them back to their mom on Sunday night, and I was like, I gotta get home because I gotta go cook and I want to do this and set up my meals for the week or whatever. And my 12-year-old wanted to get his train set to take with him, and he forgot to bring his train set into the car. We had already left. We were maybe like 5 minutes away from the house. And I was like, no, we can't go back because I got to go do this. I got to go do that. I got to go do this. And he wanted his trains, and he was upset about his trains. And he's also on the autism spectrum. So like transitions are hard for him as is. And stuff like that's really difficult when he goes from house to house. As hard as it is, for any kid to have, or to manage having
Yeah.
your things in two places. He like essentially packs up a lot, like all of his belongings, like 7 to 10 big bags full of toys and animals and drawings and whatever. And he forgot his trains, and he wanted to go back and get him, but I was like, no, we can't. And so then because we're going, and then I got to his mom's house and I dropped him off, and then I got home and I saw his trains, and I'm like, dang, it was just a kid wanting his trains. That's all it
Yeah.
was. You could have turned around. It would have been, sure, maybe added overall 10, 15 minutes, but 10, 15. But I was so focused on fitting in what I wanted to fit in, checking off the box of getting them to their mom's house. And it wouldn't have been an issue at all with her if it had been like, hey, I'm late because I had to turn around and go back and get the trains. No, I just got so like fixated and focused on just filling in, maximizing the time that there is, trying to make more time, which we can't do. So because of that, yeah, I got home and I saw his trains, and I was like, dang, I was the one who just didn't allow him to get his
Mhm.
trains, and he forgot him. I forget things. He's a kid. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was a moment where I did. That wasn't maybe necessarily making time for myself and doing it, but like, nah, because of 5 to 10 minutes, I'm not gonna just go get your trains.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a recent example of that.
I think it's one of those things too, right? Where I know I'm guilty of this. Of just sometimes being impatient too, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like I have this and this to do, so I'm trying to fit all this in, and it's like instead of for that second, hey, you know what? Let me chill out. Okay, what do you need from me at this moment? Oh, okay. Right, especially
Yeah.
with our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like you said, that every child is different, so every child's needs might be a little bit different. So, with your oldest, you might be able to just be like, hey, man, like no, like forget it. He's all right, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
With your second oldest, he might you can't really tell him that. Like, oh, let me
Mm-hmm.
explain to you why I'm in a rush. Oh, dad hasn't even ate yet, so I'm just trying to hurry up so I can prep my
Mm-hmm.
meals and oh, okay, dad, right? So it's just like those little small things that I think we sometimes forget about. At least for me, because I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'm not patient at all. I hate traffic.
Oh man, I don't know anybody who like traffic. I hear, I hear that. I got my routes
Well, okay, I'll put
that
it
I
like
take to dodge
this
traffic.
look, this is how bad I am. This is how bad my patience is. I'll go to the store. Let's say I need like bread or something, right? If I see a
Right.
long line, I will turn around and be like, "I'll get it another day, or I'll get it later." Like that's how bad my patience is. Right?
Yeah, that
So,
is that's
right? Like I'm
serious.
like, wait, hold on. I'm not gonna wait. Like, no, this looks like a 5, 10 minute wait. No, I'm good. Like I'm that bad. Like that's me. Now,
Yeah, I went to the grocery store yesterday knowing there's going to be lines. Like, I honestly don't even mind going to the grocery store at all. Just,
see,
some days it's like you got to cram stuff in. And yesterday I couldn't get
yeah.
my workouts with the grocery store or whatever. But yeah, the grocery store, yeah, that is a different level of patience. You see the
That
line
is.
like,
That's what I
wow.
said. My patience is. I've gotten better, but my patience at times I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that.
I've been trying to cut carbs anyway. I don't need that bread.
Yeah, we get bread somewhere else. It'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I've been
nah, but
thinking of going paleo.
yeah. No, I was gonna ask you too, man. Because like you said, it's hard at times to make that time for yourself. So I was gonna ask you, like growing up, was it one of those things too, where and maybe your parents was good at it, but did you ever see your parents ever be able to make like time for themselves, or was it really? I don't know if you have siblings too, but was it more so, hey, we're making
I
sure
do.
Jordan.
I have siblings. I'm the oldest. I've got
Okay,
a younger brother. He's 2 years younger than me, and a sister who's 7 years younger than me.
okay,
I saw my dad make time for himself pretty much routinely. My mom, growing up, was just they both worked, but my mom was like
mm,
all the time. Like there was a she used to one of like the memories I have from like always throughout childhood. And my brother and my sister would get on her about it, like jokingly. She
Yeah.
would like be going around the house, cake, and then cake, cake, all right, cake, cake, cake. And we're like, what are you doing? You just walk like she's, and as we got older, she's like going through mental checklists of things to do, like get the kids up, cake, make kids breakfast, cake, cake. And she's just
That's
checking them off in her head, right? And so we
yeah.
would just be sometimes walking around the house, messing with her, walk up to her, be like, cake, you know, and so she didn't, her time for herself was, it was not that, like, my dad would come home after work. He usually would get home before her, and if we had homework to do, he was on us about homework, super on us about it. But while we're doing it, he's downstairs watching Sports Center, you know, like he down there watching a game, watching a show. You know, he had all his shows or whatever it was, and then, you know, if homework would be done, we'd come get him. Dad, my homework's done. He'd come upstairs, he'd check it. Like if he didn't like the way that, like, when I was really little, if he didn't like the way I wrote a certain thing, you gotta, that's not written legible enough. You need to have better handwriting. You gotta rewrite that type of thing. But oh, you do? Okay. When it's done, let me know. Then he go back down and watch his show. Right. So my mom cooked. I would say he would grill, but like she cooked large majority of the time, 85%, 90% of the time. She would 90% of the time she'd be cooking, you know, any of the meals throughout the day. He never really would make. He'd make breakfast for everybody every now and then, but nah, she cooked. She would also check up on homework and things like that when she would get there. But nah, they actually did make time for themselves also to do things. I remember like my uncles and my aunts would come in from like Seattle and whatnot, and they'd all go to the jazz festival for like the whole day, and like leave us, like, yeah, and let the older cousins watch us, you know, and we just be, you know, little hellions running around doing stuff. And yeah, just like that. Hey, let's make popcorn. Let's cut a whole half a stick of butter and dump it on a pop. Like, you know, hey, let's watch an R-rated movie. Okay, yeah, they be gone making time for themselves. So yeah, it wasn't like my dad really always did that, and my mom was very much like a busybody. But even now that like she's retired, and I can see how they both live their retired life, like my dad is still just downstairs watching his shows. My mom is upstairs, and she's found like other things to fill her time, just being that busybody person. So, you know, it's cool to just see them at this point where they don't have so many other things like work and whatnot, and don't have the kids in the house. They're very instrumental in helping with the grandkids. All their grandkids come from me. Neither of my siblings have kids. So like between them and that, it's, yeah, they do have a lot of time for themselves still, but it's, I guess, filled differently for my mom now than it was when I was younger.
Got you. Okay. So how do you, because I'm thinking about the dynamics with, you know, your mom and your dad and stuff like that, how I guess your dad made time, your mom not necessarily, better now, but not at the time. But how, like for you, man, how do you with your wife, or maybe even family members, like how do you, I guess, communicate with them about, you know, needing time for yourself? Like or are there times with that, or is it one of those things as guys? Let's be honest, sometimes we're prideful. We're just like, nah, we can handle it all. Like we don't really need that. You know what I mean? So how do you communicate that?
My wife is incredible at. She knows me very well, and she doesn't try to change me in any way. She never has. She won't do like she'll, like I was saying, she reels me in because I was saying, I want to do everything, but she also knows that, so she's supportive in doing things. Like with my football endeavors, she's very supportive, always has been. She's like with, you know, I'm big into working out, and when we first bought our house here, I had said, yeah, I want to have a gym in the garage. You know, I want to have my own garage gym. And so when we first moved in, I had like a couple of things, just to like small stuff, you know, kettlebells, some bands, whatever. And then me and my father-in-law put in a pull-up bar like right in the days after we moved in. And I was
Mm.
like, okay, this is actually, I got some stuff. I got, this is workable. But I said, I want to get the full setup. I want to get a rack. I want to get bars and weights. And she was like the person after I wasn't, I was kind of dragging my feet on it. I got my hand in all these other fires, and doing all these other things. And so she was the one like, here, what about this one? We could get this one. Is this a good one? Do you want this one? Do you want
Mm.
something like this? What about this? And then I was like, okay, yeah, that. And I like she found the actual rig setup I have for the gym down there. So like just stuff like that. She's very much in tune with and supportive of me doing the things I love outside of just, dad responsibility things, husband responsibility thing, adult responsibility things. Um, and so we have a calendar that we've actually got back to using much more recently. It's on the phone. It's called a Cozy,
Okay.
COZY. It's a shared app, and it's just a calendar, and anyone can add anything who you're linked with. So she'll have something. Bing, I'll just whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm at. Oh, she added this for this time. Okay, and we just put things in the calendar to really keep track of stuff, and stay on point with that. Our weeks, like the weekdays, are very consistent. Like I work long hours, I got a long commute, so I'm out of the house really early. During
Mm.
the week, I recognize that if I want to have time to also, spend a little bit of time with her and the babies at night, then if I want to also work out that day, I got to get up at 5 a.m. and 4:40 a.m. So that's what I'll do a couple times a week to get my workout in. Maximize that time, fit that in there. And
Yeah.
that's actually become something a lot easier for me to do than it was before. But if you
Mm.
want it, you can find the time, make the time as far as that goes. But like, it's not something that really I have to like express to her that, hey, I like to work out. She knows that. Yesterday I wasn't able to. And she'll be like, are you gonna work out today? Yeah, I got time to. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Or like I was telling her, hey, I'm gonna get back on doing the podcast. And she's like, good. Who are you gonna do it with? What are you blah blah blah. I bought this software to like start video editing, and I went into that, and that software is so complex and it wasn't cheap, and I felt dumb because I was like, man, maybe I bit off more than I can chew buying this software to break down
Mm.
film. I'm not gonna have time to do all that, but I can still do something. She's like, that's okay. you know she's just so incredibly supportive. I don't know
Oh.
how I landed such a supportive wife, but yeah, she's just,
Yeah.
I think she knows me, and so I've never really even had to have extended talks
That
of
conversation.
finding time, making time. She. It's not that I
That's
neglect
dope, man.
everything at the same time. But
Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's dope, and that sounds like so. When it comes to spending or making time for yourself, then it sounds like the non-negotiable comes to. I mean, like you said, you're flexible to a degree with it, but it sounds like that's you working out. Like that's your non-negotiable as far as
hmm
your personal time.
hmm yeah,
So that's
and those and sometimes it's 5 days a week. Sometimes I get 5 workouts in a week.
oh
Sometimes
yeah,
it's two. You know, just and it doesn't have to always. That's kind of like that all or nothing thing I was saying. It doesn't mean like, oh, I only got 2 this week. Well, I'm only gonna get one. What Nah. Then maybe I got 3 next week. Cool. It's make it work how it works.
so I wanted to ask you that too because working out is I mean working out it could be whatever maybe like for your dad watching Sports Center things like that right you kind of recharge your batteries some so I wanted to ask you like how important do you think personal time for your mental health is as a father and then how does taking care of you first right make sure you're good impact the relationship for you and your kids.
It's it's incredible. Time for yourself as a parent. Whatever your interests are, I think is so incredible because as like, and I think it's a lot of things too with people who are present and good parents from our generation. They are so sometimes so consumed into being, all I am now is a husband and a father, and that means every single little thing I do. No, I don't get to go to sleep. No, 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 I don't get to work out. No, 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 I don't have any time to. I don't get to eat. I was, I gotta go get fast or whatever it might be. I don't, no, I can't watch a movie. No, I can't go see my friends because I'm a dad now. I'm a husband now. I feel like a lot of people in our generation get just so fixated on it, and that if any time is taken out, then that means they're not being a good parent. But it is
Mm,
extremely important that we stay mentally healthy, physically healthy, emotionally healthy in order to be good parents. Like you running on you, if someone's, just fully like completely stressed out, they haven't really slept very well, and they're just dealing and they're like feeling like there's just no time for themselves, that they're gonna go crazy. That's not a healthy person. That's not being able to give your full self to your partner, to your kids. And if you've got to like have, it's like when what do they say, when the plane's going down, you got to put your own oxygen mask on first
yes.
so
Yeah.
you can be there to give it to the kid who can't put it on their self. It's that same type of mentality. It's that same type of dynamic of you've got to be a healthy vessel yourself before you can help someone else. And like I was saying, it may not need to be like, oh, I need 4 weeks in Turks and Caicos to go be healthy by myself. It might just be, hey, get that morning workout, go on that
Yeah.
walk, take that nap. Just like today, like my wife, mother-in-law came and picked up the baby. The two kids are with the grandparents real quick. My wife's she's a bankruptcy attorney. It's her own law firm, and so she's got work to do. So she said, "I've got work to do, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a nap." Great, like just little things like that. Like just take a little nap. Just take that little time for yourself, even though you got things to do, and even you got to go get the kid eventually. It's all right, and people who don't just stop for a second to allow themselves to recharge their person, it will catch up to you. It
Mm,
will start to eat away at you, and you might find that if people who do that, like who don't take that time, they are less of the person that they know themselves to be, and that can really add up over time. And because there was a while when I first became a dad, like I stopped working out, just like I didn't have the time. I can't. Oh, gym membership too expensive. Okay, just then I got to drive there and I got to drive back, and then and then it was like, well, this isn't me, right? And then
mm,
how can you fit it in? Okay, you can maybe get just you got get a kettlebell, do a little bit
mm,
of workout. It don't have to be all in a gym. Don't have to be like I was on all the. I'm taking the supplements. I got this. I got. It don't have to be all or nothing.
mm.
Find that time for yourself, whatever it is, whatever your hobbies are, and just a little bit, and you will find that it's easier to be a more present version of yourself and a more present and better parent and partner.
I like that, bro. Now, what would you say though? Because like you said, your wife did a good job of, hey, I'm gonna take a nap and then I'm gonna do what I need to do after that. Where at times, as men in general, right? A lot of us we know we want to work, we want to provide, we want to be the best we could be, and a lot of times we have that mindset we're gonna grind, 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 right? So it's like,
Hmm.
um, how as a man, as a father, you overcome that mindset of you're almost being lazy in a sense, or you're being, I guess not necessarily selfish, but lazy, like, because like you said, that time for yourself could be literally, I just want to watch a show, right?
Hmm.
Or I do want to work out, but I can't work out because I don't have a garage, right?
Hmm.
So, and I can't drive to the gym, so all I want to do is take a nap, or I want whatever
Hmm.
the case is, right? Like, how do you, what, I guess, what advice, or what is maybe a key thing they can hang on to when they might feel like, I can't. Nah, like, Jordan, that sounds good what you're saying, but if I do that, I feel like I'm lazy. I feel like I'm not doing anything.
I would say if people that's a good question, because I look at it like this, right? Look at 20 minutes, just a 20-minute period, right? And if people are very intent with their time, somewhere there is a 20-minute period where you can just find 20 minutes in a day,
Mm.
in a very busy day, right? And if you find that 20 minutes and you're intentional with what you're doing for that 20 minutes, a nap, a show, a walk, uh, whatever it might be. Oh, 20-minute workout. Those are great, money, things like that. You will start to see that really in just a 20-minute period. Like what else are you, if your day is full of other things where you're present as a father, you're helping around the house, you're working, you're prepping meals, whatever, you're doing laundry, you're doing chores or things like that, you find then, okay, just take this 20 minutes and do whatever one of those things you can do in 20 minutes is. You'll find that really, wow, that made a difference, right? Might be small, great. It's still a difference in a better way, and you're still working towards that. You're still taking that little time for yourself. You'll also find like, oh, that after it, like the house ain't burned down, the kids aren't hungry, right? The wife's good, the partner's good, the kids are okay. Like, okay, work still work. Now I can go do this other thing. It will make, at least for me, I notice it's like it'll make doing those other things so much easier. Like I
Mm.
notice big time in the mornings if I get up at when I get up at like 4:30, 4:45 to get a workout, I will notice that at work, like I work in healthcare, and we'll get all these different calls backed up and all these different this tasks at the job backed up. I'm not even stressing it. It's
Mm.
because I'm not stressing it like that. It's a different, like, yeah, cool, because I got that workout in, right? And that same type of thing can happen as you take the time for yourself. Watch the show. Oh, that was funny. I enjoyed that show. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, I'm gonna go make dinner, and then the next day, okay, and then you get into the show, and it's you just taking that time to chill and relax and reset and refresh yourself. It can be 20 minutes. It could maybe even be 10-minute workout. Like, hey, I know I keep talking about workouts. You guys want these 10, 20-minute workouts? I got you. You don't even need nothing but your body and a tiny little
Mm.
space. And you'll start to feel better if you do these little things.
Yeah.
Um, laying down and relaxing for going on a 20-minute, 10-minute walk. Like there is those minutes there in the day that you can find just those small little gaps. And if you're intentional with that time, whatever it is, you will notice a difference.
Mm. I like that. So, as we get ready to close out, I wanted to ask you something as far as because it's something you said earlier, and honestly, I guess your mom, in a sense, also she's doing the checklist, right? Yep, yep, right,
Mm-hmm.
checking it, doing the
Mm-hmm.
checklist. So, um, what's the dangers? Just so they understand, what's the dangers of almost where your identity is strictly on just being the father or just being the husband, right? Where you, like you said, you're not taking that time for yourself, and it sounds like you had to kind of figure that out. Like, okay, like I'm not even working out, I'm doing this. Luckily, you have a supportive wife, which I'm sure that plays a huge part on it. But what is, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
some of the dangers or something just to look out for some of the guys that's they're like, man, yeah, that sounds good, but no, this is what I need to do. I'm a dad. Which again, as men, as fathers, we are those things, but we're so
Mm-hmm.
much more. So, what's some of the dangers, and how did you get out of understanding you're more than just those things?
Some of the dangers is that you will slowly lose your sense of self,
Mm.
because and it's like, well, if I'm because the mentality is I need to do this for my kids, I need to do this for my kids, I need to do this for my kids, I need to do this for my kids. And then people that you might meet at work or in other areas, like, what are you into? And it's just like, and maybe at some point someone might realize all I'm into is being a dad. That's all I do. I have no other interests or whatever. You you will then lose yourself. You will feel like you might even start to feel like you're, how would I put it, you're less in a certain way. You might even, what the potential another potential danger, actually, I would say, is you might even start to unintentionally resent your kids. Your
Mm.
might start to unintentionally resent your friends, your, like, other people, and like, and it's completely unintentionally, and you might start to resent your partner
Mm.
unintentionally, not doing it without, like, you just not noticing it,
Yeah.
because you're so focused on the grind and you're so focused on what your idea of a perfect parent is, and
Mm.
none of us are perfect, nor will we ever be. And those potential those potential, like, damaging things will pop up over time. And if you, no, it's not popping up. No, 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 no. And you don't even, but I'm doing all this work. I'm doing all this work. I'm grinding. I'm focused. I got my nose down. I'm working hard. I'm barely sleeping. I'm not really eating good because I'm working so hard for all these people. But it's like, but did you see how you said that when you were coming off with talking to me
Mm,
about this? Do you see how you treat people around you? But I'm working so hard. Why are you correcting me for working so hard? That type of stuff. That can happen. And that's something is too, as men in general, you don't want, if you're working hard and doing what you think is right and spending all that time, you don't want to, you think, I'm spending all this time, I'm doing it right. And then someone says, you aren't present, you aren't yourself, you aren't as healthy as you should be. No, yes, I am. That type of thing. So just the potential resentments that can start to build up within you towards other people, towards yourself, when you don't have those things, and just whatever it might be, your mental health, physical health, emotional health is so important. And in order to keep that and to maintain that, you do need to find time for
yeah.
yourself in whatever healthy avenues it might be, because you will lose yourself and lose those close to you if you don't.
No, I like that. I like that, bro, because at the end of the day, too, I look at like you can, as men, we don't even recognize it a lot of times, but you can also get depressed, right? You get
For
depressed
sure.
and just go down this rabbit hole and feel some type of way that, as your kids get older, right? They 14, 15, 16, they start going into middle school, to high school, they're not needing you as much, right? They don't want to be bothered as much, right? And now you're like, dang, wait, what happened? Like, what you mean? So now you're feeling, like you say, you might have some type of resentment or feel some type of way. It's like, no, they're just growing up and you were so just attached to them, right? And you could actually do more damage than good, because
hmm
now it might be one of those things where they're like, dang, dad, like, like, get off my back, man.
hmm
Why you always hovering over me? Like,
hmm
dang, at this point, dad, like, I must be your best friend because you don't have no one else, right? and
Yeah.
and again, doesn't mean they don't love us, but it's one of those things where they're like, okay, like we have to give them room to grow,
hmm
right? And we should be constantly growing. I feel like
Yeah.
no matter how old we are, we should be constantly growing and figuring out different things, different hobbies. Again, our kids is going to be a huge part. Our wife, our spouse, going to be a huge part of our lives. But we also have to make sure we're like you said, make sure we're present in
hmm
the things that we need to do for us, what's best for us, because our kids are going to be there, but they're also going to be. It's going to be a point in life where, let's be honest, they're going to be doing their own thing. They might leave. They could be
hmm
move a different state one day, right? Like
Yeah.
I like I did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So I definitely agree with what you said for sure.
Yeah, we even, for my wife, she's very type A, work, 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 and she is. So we even she had a point to where she noticed that's all she was really doing was being, being a mom and work, 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 and then seeing her family, like her siblings and her parents, etc. And it was to a point to where it's like, okay, she was like, I need, like, she's like, I